Hello, UDFC members. Thank you for your time. This is the brief overview for our UDFC Back to Play plan for summer 2020. This is going to be a brief overview of our programs and how it will work. If you are interested in hearing a more detailed version, there is a second member presentation, which is about 30 minutes in length. That will be on the same YouTube channel as this one. Before we get into the presentation, I would like to start with a thank you for your patience, support, and positivity over the last 3 months. It's been a bit long process back to play, lots of ups and downs, and obviously the moving of goalposts as restrictions loosen. We are now at a stage where we have been approved by Soccer Nova Scotia to start our programming. The next steps before we can get on the field is finding out from you, our members, how you feel about our plan and if you would be interested in registering. This will be key in setting our prices, creating an accurate schedule, and making sure we are prepared and ready to go when the season starts. So we will start with our programs. So on this table, you've got some brief overview of how the programs will look. I'd like to start with the U8s, U9s, minis, and seniors. As you can see from the table, we are not planning on running programs for those groups at this point. We do have plans to get them going at the beginning of our second cycle on August 17th. In a couple of slides' time, I will go into some more details about those groups. The Treble A's, they are already in teams as of last October, and they've been training regularly together since January. Obviously, that stopped in mid-March, same as everyone else. However, as they are already in teams and with coaches, it makes sense to keep them together. So those groups will stay as the teams they were before the lockdown started. They will have 3 practices a week, 2 1-hour weeknights, and 1 hour 30-minute weekend practice. The teams already have 17 or 18 players in their groups, so when they arrive at the field, they will be split into groups of 9 on different halves. They will not be allowed to mix, but they are allowed to have full contact training. The estimated start date for this program will be July 13th, and we were using our Treble A program as a soft launch for the club. That means they will start a week earlier than everyone else, and it gives us a chance to go through our field protocols, make sure our staff are trained correctly, and everything is working. The estimated end of our first cycle for the Treble A's will be August 16th. Registration will be done through Invite, which we have experienced in the last couple of years. The U12 to U18 group. This includes all players who are these ages and have played at any level, Whitecaps, Prospects, C, B, A, or AA. We're keeping the programming for all of those teams the same, just for simplicity's sake. Players will have a choice of 1 or 2 practices a week initially. After we have completed registration, if there are spaces, those players who are looking for a 3rd or a 4th or a 5th practice will be offered them. The length of the practices will all be 1 hour, and they will all be on weeknights. The maximum number of players per group, as per the HRM guidelines, are 9 players, so they will be grouped in groups of 9. In one half. Players will have a choice of style of possession, and we'll get into those styles in the next slide, but they'll have 4 choices. Initially, as we touched on, they will have a maximum of 2 sessions to choose from. If more become available, then we will cross that bridge when we get to it. The estimated start date will be a week later than the Treble A's on July 20th. This is our normal club launch, so hopefully we've ironed out any bugs from the week previously. This does mean the U12 to U18 group's first cycle will only be 4 weeks in length. But that means it'll also finish on the same date as the Treble A's, realigning them. Registration will be as per normal in Demisphere. The U10 and U11 groups, which includes the skill center and community programs. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, as it's very similar to the U12 and U18s. In fact, the only difference being that there are no styles of practices. Being that we're in skill centers already, the players will just be picking the coach that they would like to work with. Just to get into the styles really quickly, so this is only for the U12 to U18 age groups, and not including the Treble A's. Style A will be scrimmages only. That means the players show up to the field. There'll be a coach there who will help organize them and make sure everything's going fine. This could be 2v2s, 3v3s, or 4v4s. And it will purely be scrimmages for the entire hour. Style B, this will be a mixture of scrimmages and fun activities and soccer games. Pretty similar to what you would normally see in a B or an A session. This is a style that is aimed at players who really just want to show up at the field with their friends and have a good time. Style C, this is where we start working towards more of a developmental focus. So this is similar to Style B, but the design of the activities is going to be more aimed at trying to improve the players, and coaches will be expected to give more coaching points and give more feedback to players. Obviously, this will still be a massive fun element, but we are starting to move towards a developmental focus here. The final style is Style D. This will be the most intense out of the four. A very strong developmental focus. These sessions will be designed for players who have a strong interest in trying to become the best player they can. These are the sort of sessions you would usually expect to be ran with AA or AAA teams. Just really quickly, I want to just mention the mini skill centers U8, U9, and senior programs. I just want to make it completely clear that even though we're not running programs for these teams right now, you are still incredibly important to us. We have not forgotten about you. There are reasons why we aren't running programs, which are detailed a little bit more in here. And I can go into a lot more detail in the longer presentation if you're interested. I want you to also know that we are working on plans to get you guys on the field for August 17th. The mini program in particular, we are planning to set up a free weekly online session for mini players to tune into and have something to do with a coach leading. We are also currently working with Tim Hortons to try and get that gear out for free to you guys. Like I say, if you want more details on all of these, the longer presentation goes into that. Protocols and processes, I'm not going to get into that in this brief overview. I do go into all of them in details on the longer presentation if you are interested. Fields and scheduling. So this is a mock schedule. Don't get too invested in the names or times and dates and fields. I've made this up just to make sure it all fits. But this would be something similar to what you see at registration when you pick your session. So you will look at this. You can see across the top, you have the 6 fields that we'll be working from: Astral, Auburn, Cole Harbour High, Ocean View, Portland Estates, and Tallahassee. And you can see on the far left-hand column, the days of the week, Monday to Friday. Each field will have 2 practices a night, and each practice will be split into halves, as in one group will be on one half and the other group will be on the other half. That means each field has 4 groups going on it per night. You can also see on the left the times. We have built in 15-minute arrival and leaving times so that the players do not cross with one another in different groups. You'll also see that each box has the age group, the gender, the coach, and the style. So our original setup does have at least 2 sessions for every single age, gender, coach, and style. That may change depending on your feedback from the member survey. For example, using the U12 boys, if we have our member surveys back and nobody has selected style A, but we have maybe enough for 4 sessions for style D, we'll remove the style A's and make them style D's. This is why it's so important for our member survey to be accurate. That means we can make our plans that are appropriate to what our members want. So the way the registration will work, again, using the U12 boys, you can see in the top left-hand corner by Astral, there's 4 U12 boys sessions up there. And you can also see directly in the middle at the bottom of the Cole Harbour field, they're this second set of 4. The way it will work is you will look at your schedule and you will say, okay, I'm a U12 boy. I like Coach John D and I want the style A, which is the scrimmages. So I'm going to register for that one. And then you can pick a second one if you'd like. So maybe your second one, you also like, let's say, Coach Lisa K, and you also want a style D. You could pick 2 different ones, as long as they are the right age and gender. Next step and costs. The costs. So this is the burning question I'm sure you're wondering. We don't have the answer just yet. That is going to be the key to our member survey. We are working to keep the cost as low as possible in line with member preferences from our previous surveys. The program cost will be dependent on the number of registrants and the number of sessions per week. The more sessions equals a higher cost. Due to the added financial pressures associated with program delivery right now, including pre-purchases of personal protection equipment, disinfectants, and cleaning tools, as well as protocol signage, we will be unable to offer refunds this summer. It is important that you are aware of that. There will not be refunds. Some next steps, and these are not set in stone. These are the guidelines we are attempting to follow. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are a lot of moving parts, particularly with HRM changing guidelines. But these are these are our guidelines for our announcements. So as you can see, the treble A's do all start most of their items a few days earlier because they start a week earlier than the rest of the club. We have some rough guidelines for registration. We have some rough guidelines for player training. And then obviously we have the program starts as well. We are attempting to follow these as best as we possibly can, but they may shift a day or two one way or the other as things go. As I mentioned before I get to the questions, the member survey attached to this email is essential for us to be able to make accurate decisions that will be able to give you the information you need. Please complete it as accurately as you can. If you have questions, I would first suggest maybe watching the section that you have a question about on the longer member video presentation. That may answer your questions. If you would rather, you can just email me at dos@udfc.ca. So I thank you for your time, and I hopefully will see you on the field soon.